decisions, our actions, our values, our motivations, all that kind of thing are ours. They're ours. Nobody can make us feel anything emotionally without our permission. We create our own emotions. We create what goes on inside of us. And so sharing that with people is very, very good news. So I'm excited to share that with you, and I'm hoping that you will be able to share that with other people as well. More good news. We're in control. What I said, whatever happens outside of us, we're in control of what happens inside of us. We are born with everything we need. We are born with all the emotional skill or emotional power, the emotional abilities that we need. We just need to learn how to use them. We have everything. For me, we have a granddaughters. We have two little granddaughters. One's 1 year old and one's 3 years old. And I think this stuff is fascinating. So it's really fun to watch them. I've been watching them since the first minute they were born, pretty much. And I find that the kids, even little kids, know they can handle their emotions. It's not that they can manage them, but that they are naturally peaceful and calm and loving, and that they can that's their natural state that we are born with. What happens is when things don't go well, then they have a feeling and they express their feelings. Like if they are hungry or tired, or they need their diaper changed, or they're hurt, or that kind of thing, then they express their emotions. And then when they get their needs met, they automatically go back to their positive state. They go back to their natural state, which is calm and peaceful and loving. And that's pretty neat to see. It's pretty neat to watch. And it's pretty neat that us as adults can do the same thing if we teach people that. So what we're trying to do is teach people how to deal with their negative emotions so that they can get to back to their positive emotions, which is our natural state of being happy and loving and peaceful. That's really, really good news to me. It was a life changer for me. And I love that fact. And so we can teach people that. So the problem is some other news is that we are not taught how to deal with our inner world in schools. Whether you're disabled or not, we're not taught about this. We don't talk about them at home, and we better not show our emotions at work, right? So where are we supposed to learn this stuff? How are we supposed to learn how to deal with our inner world, our inside of us? Most people are not taught this yet. It's starting to. In the United States, we're starting to learn about it. In India, they're starting to have it involved in schools. From what I understand, in Bangladesh as well, etc. In Nepal, we're teaching emotional intelligence in many schools there. Very proud of our work that we've done in Asia and beyond. But we have a long way to go. Long way to go. Most schools, most classes, most teachers do not teach about emotions directly, and that's a bad thing. That is wrong, in my opinion. When I was done with school, I went all the way through high school. I went all the way through college, and at the end of it, I was like, "Wait a minute, is that it? Is that it?" I knew a bunch of good stuff so that I could get a job. A lot of information, but I didn't know much about myself. I didn't know how to control myself. And so once I found out that was a problem, I dove into it and thought, wow, this is a big missing piece for me. And then I found out that it's also a big missing piece for most other people as well. And I thought, okay, I need to teach people. So I've kind of dedicated my life to sharing this, exactly what we're sharing right now. And like I said, this applies to whether you're disabled or not. So We can teach people how to deal with our inner world. If we don't, we have some big problems. Biggest social problems, in my opinion, it's hard to prove, but in my opinion, the biggest social problems today have to do with a lack of emotional education. Violence, abuse, addictions, suicide rates. I don't know if you guys know, but suicide rates are skyrocketing right now in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in the United States. They're shooting up like crazy. We just found out we live in a little small town in California, and there's only 6,000 people, 7,000 people in our town. And I personally know seven people now who have committed suicide in the last couple of years. Just in the last couple of years, COVID's made it much, much worse, much worse. All these problems are worse since COVID, because in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, and a lot of studies are being done now, one of the biggest things is that we're separated from other people, and us humans don't like that. We are social creatures, and we need to have connection and belonging. We need to be able to connect with other people and be around other people and have love and friendship and coming in and going out both ways. We just do. That's how we're built, and that's how we're wired. And COVID's separated us. In the prison system, that we are the worst of the worst people. We put them in what we call solitary confinement, which means we put them in a room by themselves and leave them there. And all they're left with is their thoughts and their feelings, and that's it. And they're separated from other people. That's one of the biggest punishments we have for people. Think about that. That's one of the biggest punishments, is to put people in a room by themselves. That doesn't seem like that would be that terrible, but it is. It's awful. In COVID's terms, it's called lockdown, and it hasn't gone well. So all of these social problems that are on the screen now have increased since COVID's, all of them. And the worst one being suicide, in my opinion, because that's the ultimate in not being able to deal with your thoughts and your feelings, and you're out of here, you're leaving. So we need to teach people how to deal with their thoughts and their feelings. This is very, very important subject. People are dying, quite literally, to know what we know about emotional intelligence. They really are. And so that's why I'm here jumping up and down about it. It used to be just a nice to have soft skill. But now, with all the stress and fear and anxiety and all that's going on in the world with COVIDs and everything and other problems, it's now critical coping skill. These are survival skills. If we can't deal with our inner world, we're in big trouble. So please, let's share what you know about emotional intelligence with people, whether they're disabled or not. And it doesn't matter who you share it with, because most people don't know about it. What I do, I personally ask people all the time, even strangers sometimes, just for fun, have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And probably, this is my very unscientific study, probably half the people say, huh? What? And I go, what do you think that means? Emotional intelligence. What do you think that means? And I get some pretty interesting answers. But the point is that a lot of people, probably half the people that I work with or talk to, have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea about being smart about your thoughts and your feelings. They never thought of it before, and they never tried it before, and it doesn't go very well. And sometimes just bringing up, just suggesting that can be a life changer for people. That, did you know you can be smart about your thoughts and your feelings? Like, really? Yes, really. I've had people like, that's great. It's very fun. It's very fun. So teach people about them, please. Problem is that we are left brain. We're a left brain society. Our culture, your culture also is left brain. We honor, we respect, we reward logic. We do school is about logic and reason and knowledge and information, right? So we can get a job. That's what we teach about. That's what we talk about. But very little do we talk about right brain emotions. And we need to do that. Again, whether you're disabled or not, we need to be able to talk about them. We need to think about them. We need to explore them. We need to understand them. We need to identify them. We need to be able to shift them. And we need to be able to manage them so that we can get along with ourselves, if nothing else, at least with ourselves. We don't learn about this stuff at school, work, or home. So we're born with everything we need, but we don't know how to use it. We just don't know how to use it. So this is more good news, in my opinion, because it's just education. It's just education. We don't need anything really fancy. We just need to tell people, teach people how to deal with themselves. We just need to teach them. And then they can go on from there. Sometimes, if you read a book or take a class or go to a workshop, that kind of thing, you have to pay for it to get this information. But once you have the information, it's yours. You can use it for the rest of your life. Once you understand about your emotions, you get to use them the rest of your life. So most emotional intelligence tools and skills are free, completely 100% free. Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Well, I think that's a little bit severe, but you get the idea that we need to focus. We need to teach both sides of our brain. We need to teach people how to deal with their emotions as well as their logic. Emotions matter more than we ever thought possible. There's study after study after study is showing the amazing power of being aware of ourselves and being able to manage our inner world. Again, disabled or not, it doesn't matter. We need to be able to deal with our emotions. So what's emotional intelligence? Okay, I already said this. It's a big part of it is about belonging. And this is a big deal as far as it's a big deal. Belonging is a huge deal for us humans. Dr. Rudolf Dreikurs is one of my heroes, one of my not mentors because I never met him, but I followed his work my whole life. He said our state of mental health is directly related to our sense of belonging. And so with people going out independently, whether you're disabled or not, whether you're the caregiver or the caretaker, it's really important that you find ways to belong, people to belong with, groups to belong with, family, friends, school, work, whatever, be able to be part of your community and being a part of. And it's kind of funny how that works, where you're a part of or apart from, same kind of words, apart or apart. Are you part of it or are you apart? So it's a big difference though between the two. And we can help people stay connected. We can help people belong in some way and invite them in, welcome people in. It's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to make sure that we belong somewhere. We can help with people that need some help. We can help invite people in, but personally, it's our responsibility to reach out and to stay connected with people. I was reading, there's one of the longest studies ever done was done by, it's still being going on. It's 82 years, longitudinal study it's called, which means it goes on and on and on. They are studying people throughout their life. 80 years, they've been asking people, what is some of the most important things in your life? What are the most successful people? What has worked for you? How the most healthy or financially successful or happiest people, that kind of thing. What is working for you? And they all come down, not all of them, but they came down to one main subject. What do you think it was? connections. It's human connections. So one of the biggest things that we can do is to stay connected with people, ask them how they're doing, talk to them, let them know that they're not alone. Not alone. Aloneness is and loneliness is a killer. It really, literally, it's a killer. It can be. We can be alone without being lonely, but we can be lonely without being alone. But we know, we need to know that that is such a huge part of the human condition, that we need to make sure that we offer places for people to fit in and to belong to and to be a part of, and reach out to people. And also, if it's us personally, we need to do the reaching out. A lot of times they're not going to come to you. You got to go to them. And if you've got family or friends, then you got to keep up with it. You got to keep those relationships going. It's up to you. So you can't always depend on other people to do that and to come to you. You got to go to them. And that's a big part of this. Emotional responsibility, I call it. Emotional responsibility. Probably one of the most important things of my whole talk here is for us to know, for you to know that you are in charge of you, that you are in charge of your thoughts, your feelings, your decisions, your actions, that sort of thing. You're in charge of your inner world, and nobody else. Nobody else. They can affect it, but they're not in charge. No one can make you feel anything emotionally, like I said, without your permission. I can make you feel something physically without your permission, but I can't make you feel anything emotionally. Nobody makes you mad. Nobody hurts your feelings. You do that. You do that. And that's good news. That's good news, because if you are getting hurt, or you are getting angry, or you are sad, then you can adjust it. You can deal with it. You can change it. It's not them. It's not COVID's. It's not the government. It's not your parents. It's not your teachers. It's not your caregivers. It's you. It's you. You felt that way. You decided that something that made you mad or something that hurt your feelings, you did that. People can affect you, but they can't control your emotions. So take emotional responsibility is a huge thing, and that's very, 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 very good news, in my opinion. Very good news. So teach EQ, teaching EQ. It's a key to happiness and sanity and success in life. Teach people EQ, please. There's some basic things about EQ, some of the very basic skills, domains. Dr. Daniel Goleman's down the bottom of the slide. He kind of started this whole, he made it popular. He didn't really start it, but he got it popular by writing a book called EQ, Why It Can Matter as Much as IQ, or it's called Emotional Intelligence, actually. Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. And I don't think it matters more than IQ. It can, but it doesn't in general. I think they're balanced. I think we're shooting for balance. Stuff needs to make sense. We need to keep using our left brain, but we need also to add right brain to that. So with people that we're doing caregiving for, or we're teaching, or we're trying to help them be independent, or whatever we're teaching them, we could teach people how to identify their feelings, how to understand their feelings, how to adjust their feelings and their thoughts, how to express themselves properly, that sort of thing. Our emotions are a huge part of our life. So Daniel Goleman has these 4 steps, these 4 different parts of emotional intelligence. They're not rocket science. This is not complicated stuff, but it's critical information. And sometimes it ain't easy either. It's not complicated, but it's not easy either. Sometimes it's very difficult and painful, and that's part of the deal, but that's important, and to be able to deal with that. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. So 4 different domains. First, we got to know us. We got to know us. So teach people, ask people, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's going on for you? What's happening inside of you? What's your intention right now? What are your goals right now? That kind of thing. Self-awareness, have people express or explore inside of them and share with you. And you can do worlds of good by just by asking and caring and helping people be self-aware. So we got to be aware of ourselves first. This is step one, self-awareness. These are not necessarily in order, but the self-awareness is it. This is the first one. The second one is self-management, which means once you're aware of yourself, what are you going to do with it? Okay, so I'm feeling this, or I'm not feeling this. What am I going to do about that? What am I going to do about that? And managing our emotions. How do we express ourselves? How much do we express ourselves? Aristotle said this example. Aristotle said, being angry is easy. It is. Anybody can be angry, but being angry at the right time with the right person, with the right words, at the right energy level, that sort of thing, that's trickier. That's much trickier. So just expressing our emotions all over the place is not the key to this whole thing. It's about managing them, and it's about doing it smart and being responding. We call it responding to situations, not just reacting to them, not just immediately if somebody says something, oh, I got to say it right back, or if somebody hits you, you got to hit them right back, kind of thing. It doesn't have to be that way. We can go, wait a second, I can put some logic into it. I can have emotions and logic balanced, and I can make good decisions based on both my thoughts and my feelings. And I don't think I have a slide on this, but the way this works is my thoughts are, it's got to make sense. When I make a decision, it's got to make sense. Bum, bum, bum. Yes, that makes sense. And feel good or feel right. So that's how we balance our thoughts and our feelings. It's got to make sense and feel good, both. If they don't, we get out of kilter, we get out of balance, and sometimes it doesn't go well. Like example, like addictions, for example. Some of them feel really good. They feel really good, but they don't make any sense. They don't make any sense, right? And so it gets off balance. It doesn't go too well. Some things make a lot of sense, but they feel awful. That's probably not going to go well either. So try to balance and try to teach people. We can teach people how to balance it. So did that feel okay to you? Did that make sense to you? Okay, then maybe that was a good idea, right? So self-awareness first. We can't do anything until we're aware. Then self-management. All right, now I can do stuff with now that I'm aware. I can do something with it, right? Second, more awareness, social awareness, which is me knowing others, me being aware of people around me. So we can teach people what's going on. What's your family thinking? What's your roommate thinking? What's your caregiver thinking? What do you think is going on for them? You can't know what they're thinking, and you can't know what they're feeling. Empathy is kind of a guess, but it's really, really important guess, because at least you care, at least you have some awareness of what other people are thinking and feeling. And if you care, if you put some importance on what you're thinking and feeling, and you put importance on what they're thinking and feeling, well, guess what? They like that. They like it very much. If you care what they think and feel, they like that very much. And so your relationships are going to go better. So that's step 4, is relationship management, which is just basically saying, okay, I'm aware that you have thoughts and feelings, and you matter as a person. And so therefore, I'm going to speak gently to you. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to listen sometimes, just shut up and listen sometimes, that kind of thing. And I can deal with my relationship, make better relationships in my life, and manage our connections and our belonging, like I was saying earlier. So we got to be aware of people. We got to be aware of ourselves. We got to manage ourselves. We got to be aware of others, and we got to manage our relationship with others. That's it. It's not, like I said, it's not rocket science, but it's tricky, and there's a lot to it. And it's super, super, super important. It's way more important than we ever thought possible, we ever imagined before. So the main things that we're looking at are our thoughts, our feelings, our decisions, and our actions, right? So this is all inside of us. What are you thinking? What are we feeling? And then we take both of those into account, right? Not just our thoughts, because a lot of people, we are taught to make only logical decisions, right? But that's doesn't work all that well. We find we need to balance them, both our thoughts and our feelings. Then we can make good decisions based on all this information, this great information that our body is trying to tell us. It's telling us stuff, and it's telling us how it feels and how what energy and what emotion we're having. And we take both of those into account when we're making decisions, and then we take actions based on those decisions. So be aware of both our thoughts and our feelings, and teach other people how to do that as well. All right. It's being about smarter with our thoughts and feelings. It puts us in control of our lives and allows us to respond rather than react to stuff. EQ is basically studying ourselves. It's a study of you, it's a study of me, and it's a study of we. Now we can teach this to people as they go out and be independent. We could say, we be aware of yourself, be aware of other people, and be aware of your relationship with other people, because that's going to make all the difference. So what we're studying is what we call metacognition, which is thinking about what we're thinking about, and meta emotion is feeling about what we're feeling about. And it's basically being aware of and being interested in and being curious about ourselves, about what's going on for ourselves and how we manage things. We cannot not think, and we cannot not feel. So we probably ought to get good at both of those, in my strong opinion. Some of the things that we can teach, and people can take this with them. Again, no charge. All of these are free. But emotional intelligence has a lot of different components to it. Here's some of them. Awareness, like I said, first, we got to be aware. It's called mindfulness. It's called consciousness. It's called being present, that kind of thing. Emotional awareness. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Okay. Again, not particularly complicated, but very, very interesting and very important first step. What is it? Identification. So what do I call that? What is that? Fear, or is that sadness, or is that embarrassment, or is that anger? That kind of thing. It helps to be able to identify what it is we are feeling. And I do have a couple slides on this later, but that's important to know what we're thinking and what we are thinking. Here, actually, yeah, here's one right here. This is called Plutchik's Wheel of Emotion, and I made it into a hashtag. I like hashtags, and it's called Name It to Tame It. Name it to tame it. So if you can be able to identify what it is you're feeling, a lot of times that feels better all by itself. So try that. Try to be able to name what it is you're feeling, because it really helps a lot. So let me see if I can get back where I was. Here we go. Emotional literacy. That's being able to talk about what you're thinking and feeling, and being able to listen and understand with other people what they're thinking and feeling. There's kind of a whole language to emotions, and it's helpful to know that strong language, so that you can express yourself at least to yourself, if not to other people. Emotional agility. I like that one. That's being able to dodge and weave and move and go, well, that didn't go very well. Oh, that was a bad thing. All right, well, so I'm going to move over here and let it go on by, or I'm going to adjust my thinking so that it doesn't bother me so much, that kind of thing. It's ability to be flexible and to move our things around inside of us. Emotional agility. There's a book called that, a very, very good book called Emotional Agility. Look it up. It's a good one. Emotional regulation. That's another really important one, and emotional control, the next one. They're very important to be able to not just express ourselves all over the place. That's not what this is about. That's not just about feeling and blasting people and yelling and being emotional all over the place. That's not what it's about. It's about maturity and being able to control and regulate what are feeling, not stuff them down, not that kind of control where we deny them and we push them down inside of us and keep them in our body. Our body does not like that, by the way. Our body does not like carrying around big negative emotions for long periods of time. Your body will start falling apart. They have now proven that over and over again. That stuff that happens emotionally to us and we don't deal with it, it can cause some real serious physical problems. Emotions turn physical if we don't deal with them properly. And so we're not talking about just stuffing them down inside and ignoring them and lying to people and ourselves about them and being only cognitive. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being able to understand what's going on inside and appreciate it and learn from ourselves and do better with it. So we need to be, but we do need to be able to regulate and control our emotions. Emotional congruency. Congruency is a cool word. It means that what I'm showing on the outside is what I'm feeling on the inside. Kind of what you see is what you get kind of deal. So you're being congruent. We're equal. What you're seeing right now on my face, I hope, is it's some excitement. I feel hopeful. I appreciate being here. I'm glad to be talking about this. I love talking about this subject, even in the middle of the night. And so I think I'm showing that on my face. I'm trying to. So I'm trying to be congruent with my inside match my outside. A lot of people are trying to, oh yeah, everything's fine, and they're not fine. They're not fine at all, and it's not congruent, or the other way around. And so it helps to be able to be that way, to be authentic and real with people. And then, of course, the last one is someday, emotional mastery. I'm still working on that one. Good luck with that one. But we can have goals, right? We can have goals. I'm not there yet, but hopefully we'll get there someday. So what we can teach people to do, and whether they're whether disabled or not, and whether you're independent or not, we can think better thoughts, we can believe better beliefs, we can feel better feelings, we can make better decisions, we can take better actions, we can get better results, and we can live a better life, all through emotional intelligence. Pretty cool, huh? All through emotional intelligence, and all completely, totally free. All of it. Pretty neat. Thoughts, feelings, actions. Again, I added decisions in here. I put it in the middle. Down in the bottom here is 6seconds.org. If you want to learn more about this, very good place to start. 6seconds.org. It's the number 6, and they are the largest EQ trainer in the world. They're in the United States, but they work all over. They're in 100 and something countries. And they've taught like a couple million people, and their website is fantastic. They have training, they have certifications, they have assessments, they have all kinds of information. This graphic is theirs. A couple of them in here are their graphics. Go there if you want to get started with emotional intelligence. They got some very inexpensive classes to get started. Really good place to start. And by the way, 6 seconds, why they call it 6 seconds? That's kind of a bizarre name. They call it 6 seconds because scientifically, if you have a really strong emotion, and it takes about 6 seconds for it to settle down. Your body reacts, and your synapses go, and your amygdala goes, and all kinds of things happen inside of you. Your adrenaline fires up and that kind of thing, and it all goes fired up. But if you can stay calm for 6 seconds, you can make better decisions. You can respond better. So it's kind of like the count to 10 thing. It works really well. If you let go of it while you're counting or while you're waiting, you let yourself settle, you let things settle. Daniel Goleman came up with a term. I don't think I have it in here. Oh yeah, I do. It's called amygdala hijack. Your amygdala is in the center of your brain, and it is a little tiny kidney shaped bean thing, and it's in charge of big emotions, big emotions, safety in particular. And what happens is when we feel unsafe and we feel like something's bad is happening, we get fired up. We go, whoa, it goes up like that. And our emotions get really high and our logic goes down. Our logic goes down. It gets off balance. And so it's called an amygdala hijack because your emotions get really high. You've seen people you probably felt it before when something went really bad or something went really good. Also, then you stop thinking. You kind of stop thinking and you're just reacting. You just react. And that is because your emotions take over and your logic goes bye-bye. And that's sometimes a really bad place to be in. It's a dangerous place. So be careful of that. So give it 6 seconds, count to 10, let yourself settle, breathe, and then it'll settle back down. Your body will settle back down and you can then make a good decision rather than just reactive. All right. I should have put this a lot earlier. This is the left brain, right brain thing. Our left brain this isn't exactly true, but it kind of gets the point across. Our left brain is our logic, and that's where we focus in our school, work, and home, in our culture and yours. It is a left brain, right? We're a left brain society. But a lot of good stuff on the right brain, a whole lot of good stuff going on. And you know, your brain is split in half. And so we're talking half of our brain we're not using very much, and we don't understand how to use it. That's a bad thing. Our passion, our creativity, our senses, our sight, smell, touch, all that stuff, all on the right brain. And we don't pay much attention to that. It's really sad, actually. The subjects in school, the first ones that get cut usually are art and music and dance and the liberal arts get cut first. And that's a shame because that's where there's so much over there. That's where our passion and our love is too. So we need to consciously pay some attention to it. We need to learn about it. We need to understand it, and we need to talk to people about it. So if you're teaching people or if you're trying to help people do better with their lives, help them understand themselves on their right brain. Help them understand their own emotions, their own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Very important. Balance is the key. Does it make sense and does it feel good? Then we can make responsible decisions. This guy over here on the left, he's good on the IQ. Like I said, we're good at that. I think it's a wonderful thing because we do good. We're smart. We're great society, smart wise, engineering, medical science, all that kind of stuff. Great stuff. I'm really appreciate that we have such good IQ. However, we not so good on the EQ. We need to consciously increase that. And so we need to talk more about it. For me personally, I have cancer but I'm doing good. I've had it for 8 years now, and I'm doing good. Why? Medical science. So I very, very, very much appreciate IQ. I wouldn't be here otherwise. I would not be here otherwise. And so I very much appreciate IQ. I'm not saying that EQ is more important. They're both important. So this is some of the stuff that we can help people see, is that what the world sees and what most people judge themselves on is what is on the outside, what's outside, how much money you make, how many friends you have, how big's your car, how nice is your house, that kind of stuff. It's all on the outside. That's what people see. But there's a whole bunch of stuff going on underneath that and the inside. And if we can learn more about that and help people learn more about that, they can be happier and more successful and more loving and that kind of thing. All this stuff like passion, focus, desire, training, listening, sacrifice, feedback, courage, perseverance, sadness, on and on and on. There's so many things happen on the inside. This is all emotional intelligence training, and it affects what happens on the outside, but it also shows that there's a lot more to it than just what's going on the outside. I already said that. And so here's the goal. So we are trying to, the point is to teach emotional intelligence, right? Those are the skills and the language and the competencies and such I was talking about. But the goal is peace. The goal is peace. We're trying to create inner peace. We're trying to create interpersonal peace between us, and we are trying to create social peace among us. And those are teachable skills. That's a wonderful thing to me. It's a wonderful thing that our emotions are if we understand ourselves, if we can deal with other people, if we have social awareness and deal with our relationships well, we can create peace among us. What we have a nonprofit called EQ for Peace, because we are saying that people are expected to, we're trying to create peace, right? In the world, inside and around us. We're trying to create that. But how are we supposed to do that if people don't know how to do it? They don't know how. They don't know how. We don't use that word very often. You guys use it more than we do. We hardly ever use it. And how are we supposed to create peace when we've never talked about it before? We never learned about it before. We never, we don't even have the concepts, and that's not working very well. And so we're saying, if we can teach emotional intelligence that leads to peace inside and around us and our little around us, maybe when enough people know how to create peace in the world, maybe we can have big peace. Maybe it's kind of hard to prove, but we're giving it a shot. I hope you agree, and I hope you join in. I got a slide. I don't think I have a slide, but the Dalai Lama said that world peace begins with inner peace. World peace begins with inner peace, and other people have said that as well. And I totally buy that. That's the point of our whole nonprofit. World peace begins with inner peace, and inner peace begins with emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is education thing. It's a teachable skill, a bunch of teachable skills. And so we can learn how to create peace. I like this one. It says, inner peace begins the moment you choose not to allow another person or event to control your emotions. Okay. Obviously, people and events affect our emotions. They affect us. They can, their input, their information, but they do not have to control us. They do not have to control us. And if you're helping somebody be independent, you can help teach them that they are in charge of themselves. If they are feeling down, if they are feeling bad, if they are feeling angry, they are feeling sad, they're feeling afraid, they can adjust that. They can adjust it to make it different, to change it. And it's not about what's happening outside. It's not about that. It's about themselves inside. We can create peace and inner peace, interpersonal peace, and social peace. Like I was saying, there's kind of I like this. There's a science and an art and a magic to EQ. There's a science to it, the way our brain works, the way our synapses work, the way our information goes on inside of us, that kind of thing. And there's a whole science to it, but there's also an art to it. I'm not that great at the science side of it. I'm not that smart on my IQ side, I'm afraid. But I focus on the art of it, because the art of it is how do I do this? How do I creatively express myself? How do I create relationships? How do I do boundaries? How do I ask for what I want? How do I make things happen in my life and still keep people close to me? There's art to that. It's tricky, but it's cool, and it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating, and it's the science is interesting, but the art is real. The art is, how do I make this happen in my life? And together, between the science and the art, becomes kind of magic. It's magical that it's free. It's magical that it starts inside of us when we're born, that we have everything we need when we're born. It's as natural and organic as you can get. And it's the key to so many parts of our lives, to our happiness, our success, our sanity. It's a key to so much of our lives that it's kind of magical. It's really pretty neat. So I love it. I love it. Can you tell? So we came up with a new concept called positive mental health, and this is something we could definitely help with disabled people or not. Again, positive mental health is about. You guys know about positive psychology, right? Probably you've heard of positive psychology. Positive psychology said that if for hundreds of years or however many we have done therapy and counseling for people who are struggling, who have negative thoughts and emotions, right? They're down, they have disabled, they have no disorders, excuse me, disorders. They have issues, they have pain, they have problems, right? So they go to counseling and therapy to learn about that, to get over those. But what they found is that they were trying to go from basically from negative problems and pain and stuff back to normal. So it's from negative to back to zero. Here's a little graph of it. Actually, we try to deal with the negatives and go back to zero. But positive psychology said, wait a minute, we can keep going. We can keep going. We don't have to stop there. Why do we have to just be normal? We can be happy and loving and peaceful and successful. We can study the people that are doing well and find out what they're doing and do that. Do that. We don't have to just go from negative to zero. We can go up to positive. That's called positive psychology. Well, same thing with mental health. Mental health has kind of a negative connotation to it because we're talking about problems and issues and pain and such, and that's very real. It's very real. But if we learn to deal with those properly, we can not only deal with the negatives and come back up to zero, we can keep going up into positives of joy and peace and love. So mental health can be a very positive thing. It doesn't have to be just negative. It can be a positive thing. So we're practicing emotional intelligence and positive mental health and teaching it. This one of the basics of positive mental health is that this sign said, to be the best, you must be able to handle the worst. Well, I don't necessarily need to be the best because that compares me to other people. What I do want to be, though, is my best. I want to be able to be my best. And so to be your best, you must be able to handle your worst. What that means is that if you can deal with I like to break it down. Again, I'm not that smart, so I'd like to break things down really simple. There's three big feelings that we need to deal with, in my opinion, and in my experience and in our research. There's three big feelings we need to deal with: fear, anger, and sadness. Fear, anger, and sadness. If you can deal with your biggest fears, your deepest anger, and your such deep sadness, if you can deal with all that stuff, and you can and be okay with it, and be okay with it, there just isn't much that life can throw at you that you can't handle. There isn't much. You'll be able to handle almost anything, and that's a beautiful thing. And we can teach people, and you can teach people as they go out into the world and try to be independent, is try to understand your fear, anger, and sadness, get support with it, learn about it, get some help, and understand yourself and what's going on inside of you, how to release it, how to deal with it, how to change the thoughts behind your feelings, all that kind of stuff. And then you can deal with almost anything. And then if you can deal with anything, and what I've been finding, which is really, really cool, side result of this, is if I can deal with my negatives, I can be more powerful, I can be more loving, I can risk more, I can be more open, I can introduce myself to people, to strangers, I can talk to people, I can enjoy myself more, I can allow myself to move, I can allow myself to be seen. I used to kind of hide because of shame and because of my own insecurities, and I used to be real quiet and not let people see me. And now I'm up in front of 230 people making a fool of myself because if I can deal with my negatives, if it doesn't go well, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. All right. Usually it goes okay, but if it doesn't go well, I can deal with it. I don't have to hide. I can be more me. I can be more open because I can deal with my negatives. It's pretty cool. I think it's fantastic myself. So 3 basic steps to emotional intelligence. Again, awareness always first. Awareness is first. Acceptance. Acceptance is huge. I've done whole classes just on acceptance because it seems like it only takes a second. You're like, oh yeah, I feel that. Okay. Well, a lot of people, and I would say most people, don't accept what they're feeling, especially the negative stuff, and they don't accept what's going on. They don't accept responsibility for it. That's a big deal. But if you can accept what's happening inside of you and outside of you, if you can accept it, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you do usually have to accept what's going on. Or you can say, I do not accept that and I'm going to change it. So awareness, yeah, I understand. Yes, I accept it. And I'm going to take some action about it, or I'm not, right? But even when you don't, no action is an action. No action is an action. And with strong emotions, no action, like keeping your mouth shut, is a good action. It's a good idea sometimes. The cool part is when you decide not to take action or take action, either one, you are in charge. You're in charge of you. So you're deciding to be aware, accept, and to do or not do. That puts you in charge of you. And that is a beautiful thing. That's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Life changer for me. Again, accept responsibility, emotional responsibility, huge part of this whole thing. All right. Basically, I know I'm running out of time. 10 steps, real quick. Stuff happens outside of us. It just does. Stuff happens, right? It's going to keep on happening. The world is happening. We then have a thought and a feeling about what's happening. Now it's inside. Now it's our problem. Right? And so what do we do about it? Become aware. Oh, yep, I'm having a thought, feeling. Yep. And acceptance, yes, I'm having this thought. It just takes a second, like I said, but accept that that what I'm thinking and feeling, that I evaluate it. Do I like that? Is that working for me? Is that what I want to think and feel? Is that what I want? If you're thinking something, you don't like it, you don't have to stick with it. You can think something else. We can think something else. And that's a beautiful thing in itself too. And it gives us power. We can change it. So awareness, acceptance, evaluate what's happening, and then decide what are we going to do about it. And that's the next step, doing. Now we're going back outside. So you can think and feel whatever you want to, but as soon as you start doing, now the world gets involved. Now there are consequences. Now stuff happens and people can see and feel what's going on. So again, awareness, acceptance, evaluation, and decision are all inside. You can do whatever you want with those. They're your nickel, as I say. But then we act on those, or we don't act on those, and that now we're outside. So that becomes our behaviors, and our behaviors get us results, and then we do good or we don't do good, depending on what we decide. So again, inner world is thoughts and feelings, outer world is actions and results. Try to identify what you're feeling. This is a cool, also on 6 seconds. Helping you be specific about what you're feeling. Here's one for kids, or just a simplified version of it. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? And oh, by the way, if you ask people, how are you feeling? You usually get a response that's what they're physically feeling. How are you feeling? Oh, I'm tired. I'm hungry, that kind of stuff. I don't feel good. Those are, how are you feeling? Ask, what are you feeling? You get a whole different, much more interesting answer. What are you feeling? So 1U is a concept we came up with, which just means we don't keep score of just on what's going on outside of us, money, friends, social status, that kind of thing. That's all outside of us. What we keep score on also is what we do inside of us. Like right now, I get 1U as a point. I got a point for myself. It's me encouraging and giving myself kudos for doing good. And I'm doing good by being here in front of you and being expressing myself and being real about it and that kind of thing. So I got some points for myself. That counts as much right now, counts as much as anything. It doesn't matter how rich or poor I am right this minute. It matters how I feel about myself. So it's about keeping score about yourself. Three, I probably should stop, huh? I could go on and on. Independence versus interdependence. We can be independent and we can live on our own and be in charge of ourselves, but we also are interdependent at the same time. So we need to be able to understand and accept both of those. That we need other people. As I said, big three negatives: fear, anger, sadness. Big three positives: joy, peace, and love. It all starts with our thoughts. If you're having feelings and are going on, you probably, not always, but probably are based on your thoughts. And if you don't like your thoughts, change them, make a different thought. You can have a thought like, and you're like, no, well, you can be a little more understanding or a little more empathetic or have more compassion. We can learn about that. Purposeful positivity, be positive on purpose, exaggerate enthusiasm like I do, and exercise optimism. Name it to tame it is, like I said, you're trying to identify what we're feeling and name it. And that sometimes that helps a lot all by itself. Spin it to win it is just what I was saying. If you have a thought and you go, I don't like that thought, that makes me feel terrible. It's too general, or it's too negative, or it's too yucky, whatever. I don't like it. Make a new thought, change it, spin it to win it, make a new thought. And feel it to heal it is one of the big ones. And that's about, and a big one on positive mental health is that sometimes a lot of psychology and a lot of personal growth talks about how to avoid negative feelings and how to get away from them as fast as possible and change them and all that kind of stuff. Feel it, heal it is like, you know what? Try feeling them. Just letting yourself feel it just for a minute. When you're upset and you're sad or you're angry or something. Yesterday, I did it for myself. I was noticing that a bunch of stuff had gone wrong. And I was like, you know what? You need to cry, buddy. And I just stopped and let myself for a minute, just cry for a minute. I felt so much better. This is just yesterday. And I try to do it pretty often, and it's a kind of more of the magical thing. You've probably felt that before, and you built up, and then finally let yourself express or blow up. You don't have to hurt anybody. You don't have to dump on anybody. Just get it out of you, not on to anyone else, and you feel so much better. It's pretty cool. So empathy is the biggest skill of emotional intelligence, but empathy starts with you. Find a buddy, find a partner. We call them either a peace partner or a battle buddy, depending on whether you're wanting to try to get peace or battle. But make connections, relationship skills. One of our biggest skills is our ability to open our heart or close our heart. And that's huge. And I'm way over time here, so I'm going to jump down to the bottom. The bottom line is takeaways. Okay, accept your emotional responsibility. That's a big part of this. It's you. This is you. You're deciding, you're thinking, you are feeling, you are doing stuff with those. So that's cool. That's really, really good news. But it's really, really important. The people that do well have emotional responsibility. This is my opinion and some of our testing. And the people that don't do well are people that are blamers, whiner, victim. They did it to me. The world is awful, blah, blah, blah. You start going down. But if you go, no, I took this in, I made myself think this way, feel this way, then I can do something about it. I'm going to do way better. Live EQ, learn about it, learn some more about it, teach about it. Model it, do some research on it. It's really, really important, and help people learn about themselves. And then again, teach it. Each one teach one EQ, I call it, which is teach anybody else about emotional intelligence. Now, and they don't. So please share it. So last one, EQ for Peace is the name, .org is the name of our nonprofit site. Please give it a try and come join us. And we got a lot of work to do. In the world. So teach people about emotional intelligence, please. All right. Thank you for listening. I'll be done now, and go out and be emotional, but do it properly. All right. Any questions, or I don't know if we have time for that. Thanks, you guys. Put my email address in the chat. Matt at eq4peace.org. Anything? I can keep going if you want.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Hello.
Sir,
You're
thank
welcome.
you, sir.
You're welcome. That was fun. Also, I will put my PowerPoint up on Google Drive, and I will I'll put it in the chat in a few minutes, so you can have it if you like. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Oh, thank you for the thank yous. We got lots of thank yous. You're welcome.
Okay.
That was fun. All right. Appreciate that. Good group. A lot of heart for your information, that's for sure. Yeah. Yes, I feel strongly about feeling strongly. I feel strongly about feelings. Very definitely. They're life changer. Again, whether you're disabled or not. And if you're a caregiver or a teacher, you gotta do you first. Do you first. Self-awareness first. And then you can help other people better. Big three thoughts. I don't remember that one. Big three. I had big three negative emotions and big three positive emotions. As I'm not sure if that's what you mean, Santita. Any other questions, you guys? I'm uploading the PowerPoint to Google Drive now, and I'll give you the link in a few minutes. Appreciate the kudos and nice messages, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to put 6seconds.org in here. Big three emotions. Yeah. Okay. So the big three positives are love, peace, and joy. Big three negatives are fear, anger, and sadness. There's tons more, of course, and actually I have a list of something like 4,000 or 5,000 words in English that are feeling-based words, and it's really helpful to have a great vocabulary about your feelings, about being able to identify what it is you're feeling specifically, at least to yourself, And it's also really helpful to just sum it up. Is it fear, anger, sadness, or some combination of thereof? And the other ones beside that are guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, and tension. And all of those are based on fear, anger, and sadness, in my opinion, in our work. That's what we're finding. So I like it just simple, simple, simple. Any other questions or Sangita, is that what you wanted? Just the big three emotions? I thought I was out of time. I can keep going if you want, because I didn't do the last 10 slides or so. Oh, big thank you. You're welcome. Big, you're welcome. I love doing this. There's nothing I'd rather talk about. Thought there was another speaker right after me and I was going into somebody else's time, but all right, here we go. Just a second. I'm going to
Next.
comes the PowerPoint on Google Drive there. So go for it. Okay, we do have some questions. Let's see. How do you convince parents at the meeting to accept their child's disability? Because that time parents go through lots of mixed emotions. Yeah, no doubt. I'll bet they do. I'll bet they do when they first find out that they're, yeah, they do. The first one is empathy. Very first one. Actually, the first one is listen, shut up and listen to them. Shut up and listen to them. I call it SOUL. And that is stop, open up your heart and listen to people. So it's compassion and empathy to allow people to express their negative feelings.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, your time is up.
Yes, I know. I was just answering because nobody else is talking, so just going.
So next resource person, Dr. Hinakshi Bhansali.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
A very
You're
good
welcome.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah. So shall I begin now?
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. All right. So I'm sharing my screen and then I will start. First, I will give my introduction and start about the topic. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I hope now my screen is visible to all of you.
Ma'am, visual.
Great. So a very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Hinakshi Bhansali. I'm a RCI certified rehabilitation psychologist and assistant professor in psychology department of MIT Verbies University, Pune. Along with that, I have completed my PhD in neuropsychology from one of the state university of the Rajasthan, India itself. And I'm a NCRT certified counseling psychologist too. Apart from that, I'm also certified community rehabilitation psychologist from the Enhance India. So these are about my qualification, and as comes to the work experience, I'm working in the field of the disability rehabilitation and psychology from last 12 years. And from last 4 years, I'm working as an assistant professor in the field of the psychology. Okay, so today I'm going to present a topic which is related to the how we can include person with disability. As per my understanding, people who are here and those who are joining the CRE program, most of they are aware about this thing, that what are the things we can do when it comes to the person with disability and how we can include them. Because you all are somewhere aware about these things. This is what you have studied, and currently you are working with the person with disability and the mental health related issues. So many of you are already aware. So I'm trying to include the topics which few of you are aware. Few things I just want to share here with my experience. So now I'm begin with the presentation. All right. So so we are going moving forward with this understanding that, when it comes to the community, to whom we can say a community, to say a community to a group of the people, or where we are including all the people. So basically, before we move forward, I just want to understand Hindi and English both works, or the only English works for the audience. Is it okay if I'm using some words in Hindi and some in English, or if you guys suggest, I will continue with the English only?
हाँ मैम, आप हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों में बोलिए मैम.
Okay,
okay. मोस्टली घटो.
Fine. ठीक है. So basically, जब हम बात करते हैं about community, see, community is not something where we are not including one or two individual and rest of people we can say community. जब तक हम हर एक व्यक्ति को जो उस कम्युनिटी में है उसे इंक्लूड नहीं कर लेते, वी कांट से अ कम्युनिटी एज एन कम्युनिटी, क्योंकि तब तक हम उन्हें ग्रुप्स कह सकते हैं. देयर आर सेवरल ग्रुप्स एंड इन दैट सेवरल ग्रुप्स पीपल आर इंक्लूडिंग देमसेल्फ अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर चॉइसेस. बट जब हम बात करते हैं कम्युनिटी की, सो वी हैव टू थिंक इन अ बिगर पर्सपेक्टिव. हमें बहुत लार्ज पर्सपेक्टिव पे सोचना होता है कि किसे हम इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. सो इन दैट टर्म ओनली टू whom we are including. So earlier, पहले जब कम्युनिटी की बात होती थी, so people are not including PWDs, person with disabilities. So they are usually excluding them. And this disconnection of the people with disability from the community, it is creating a bigger issue for them, because they are not having a feeling that they are the part of the community. उनका social relation कम हो जाता था, और because of this exclusion that we have created for them, they feel very limited opportunity to engage with the society, right? So person with disability constitute one of the largest and most marginable group worldwide. सिर्फ इसी वजह से हमने एक ऐसे बड़े ग्रुप को मार्जिनलाइज कर दिया जो कि कम्युनिटी का एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा हो सकता था. And because of this, we are not only providing them a limitation toward their social development. Apart from that, उनका education, उनका work related environment, उनका career, health, and all the other aspects of the functionality, वो सारी ही चीजें हमने मार्जिनलाइज कर दी, क्योंकि हमने उन्हें कभी अपने कम्युनिटी का इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट नहीं समझा. So disabled people and उनकी family, not only the disabled people, apart from that उनकी family को भी हमने isolate कर दिया. Just because we are not accepting them, we are not also accepting the families, those who are caretaker for the disabled people. So this isolation and the marginalization part, it become larger when it comes to the whole society. जब हम पूरी सोसाइटी की बात करते हैं तो पहले हमने सिर्फ डिसेबल्स को मार्जिनलाइज किया, एंड उसके बाद हमने उनकी फैमिलीज को भी मार्जिनलाइज किया. इसका मतलब होता है दिस इज बिकम नाउ अ बिगर पोर्शन ऑफ द होल कम्युनिटी. सो हमने एक बहुत बड़े ग्रुप को जो है वो साइड कर दिया, एंड मल्टीपल बैरियर्स हमने उनके लिए छोड़ दिए, which actually hinder their amalgamation toward the mainstream, जिसकी वजह से वो mainstream में अपने आप को include नहीं कर पा रहे थे. So let's say एक architectural concept या technology, finance हो या कोई भी दूसरे तरह का perspective, इन सब जगहों पर they are feeling that they are restricted. all right. Sorry, I'm not, I can see few comments here, but I'm not able to speak Bengali. So if you want, I can continue with the English. Okay. Okay. So now when it comes to the question that how we are going to include this marginalized group, ये जो एक बड़ा ग्रुप है जिसे हम marginalize नहीं हमने किया है उसे हम कैसे include कर सकते हैं, because our current topic is how to include the person with disability, right? So first we have to understand what is disability, to whom we are saying disability, right? किसे हम कहते हैं कि ये डिसेबल है. So person with disability, they are more likely to experience adverse socio-economic outcomes like less education, poor health outcome, lower level of the employment, higher poverty rates, and this poverty and all the other things that they are receiving less, it increase the risk of disability through malnutrition, क्योंकि आप already उन्हें ये सारी चीजें कम provide कर रहे हैं. Less education always, you know, impact on your health too. So malnutrition, inadequate access of education, healthcare, because आपके पास में education नहीं है, you are not aware about the information, and that information somehow impact on your healthcare and your routine, you know, hygiene, health, how to make yourself nutrition rich, and or the safe working environment which is not safe. These kind of the understanding is less because they are not having that kind of the education and the environment. So because of this, they are also suffering with all these factors like a polluted environment, lack of access to safe water and sanitization. So disability may also increase with the risk of the poverty through lack of employment and the education opportunity, lower wages, increased cost of the living. So somehow all these areas impact on the person with disability along with the family of the PWD, and they are separated themselves from the main community. So now when it comes to the person with disability, the person who is having long-term physical, mental, intellectual and sensory impairment, and which is interaction with the various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with the others. So, you know, because the person is having physical barrier, mental barrier, intellectual barrier, sensory impairment is also there. In that case, they are having a lot of difficulties, like difficulty encountered by an individual in executing a task or action. कोई भी normal task जो आप या मैं कर सकते हैं, they might be not able to do earlier. Now we are having n number of the support system, the inclusion we planned, then gradually we move toward the inclusion of the disabled peoples into the community, right? But earlier they were facing the limited activity because they are not having that kind of the supportive environment. Then restricted participations. So problem experienced by an individual in the environment in life situation. So they are having very less kind of a participation when it comes to the society or the community. Then the impairment, problem in body functions or the structure with the varying severities. So that is again another type of the issue they are facing. Now, the biggest problem is that many of us are having a misconception about these three terminology, which we call it as an impairment, disability, and handicap. So, you know, most of us are interchanging these words. How we are interchanging? Like here you can see there are common association with these words, like the visual impairment. We also called visual disability and visual handicap, right? Similarly, the learning disability, learning handicap, sometimes physical handicap, physical disability, and physical impairment. So where the one type of the disorder along with all these three terminology we are using, we have to understand that where we need to use which particular words, because you know our language also play an important role when it comes to the inclusion. How you are connecting and communicating with the other person, that also play an important role. So to understand these three impacts, these three words and their meaning, it is very important for us to, you know, while we are doing any activity of the inclusion that also play an important role. So according to World Health Organization, they provided definition for these terms in the International Classification of the Impairment, Disability and Handicap. There is a classification. Nowadays, we are calling it as an International Classification of the Functioning. ICF is known as an, earlier it was International Classification of the Impairment, Disability and Handicap. It was a manual जो कि WHO ने दिया है, where you can understand about the disability in a various perspective and in a detailed understanding. So with the help of this manual, which is given by the WHO, there is a specific definition what they have provided for the impairment, disability and handicap. So impairment, it is a definition as any loss or abnormalities of the psychological, physiological, anatomical structure or the function. So let's say अगर किसी व्यक्ति के let's say फिजियोलॉजी में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, हम कह सकते हैं कि उनके किसी बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर में कोई प्रॉब्लम है या ब्रेन स्ट्रक्चर में कोई इशू है जिसकी वजह से they are not able to perform the functions normally. So that is known as an impairment, right? So that there is a problem with an organ or the structure of the body. So it is focused on the actual malformation और द माल फंक्शन ऑफ द बॉडी. अगर बॉडी में कहीं कुछ प्रॉब्लम है जिसकी वजह से द पर्सन इज नॉट एबल टू परफॉर्म वेल, सो दैट इज नॉन एज एन इम्पेयरमेंट, राइट? व्हेन then after the impairment we have to understand the disability. Okay, because of any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered normal for a human. Now see, because of the restriction, let's say any kind of the environmental barrier and any kind of the social barrier is there, or lack of ability, which may be the physical lack of ability. अगर आपके body organ में कुछ issues है जिसकी वजह से like a locomotor, right, जिसकी वजह से you are not able to perform any activity as the normal individual can perform, that we are considering as a disability. So we have already classified that what are the normal individual can do, and according to that we are comparing those who are having less ability, and then we are calling them as in disabled. So this is how the whole division and whole classification of the disabilities comes in the picture, right? So what are the restrictions they have? Like हम कैसे समझ सकते हैं restriction को कि people who are right now in the Ukraine. Okay, so we all are aware that Ukraine and Russia war is there. So those who are right now in the Ukraine, so they have restriction about many of the things. But at the same time, we are here in the India not having that restriction. So if one kind of activity is asking to perform to them and us, they might be not able to perform it, but we are able to perform it. अगर हम इंडिया की ही बात कर ले तो जैसे कश्मीर में थोड़े टाइम पहले जो था वो नेटवर्क रिलेटेड रिस्ट्रिक्शन है, अभी भी है, right? And we are not having. So if there is an activity, so you will be able to perform, they're not be able to perform, but that is not going to be the physical the physical restriction, that is the environmental restriction. And because of that, the activity they are not able to perform as in as normal human being, right? So that also comes in a one kind of the disability, not we are considering in the special education or the inclusion of the person with disability. It was just an example to understand. Okay, so when we say disability, it means that a person has a functional limitations and that due to his or her impairment. So any kind of the impairment which is actually making a person disabled because they are not having that kind of the activity or the functional related opportunities, so that is known as a disability. So it is a broad term that is defined in both legal and scientific way and encompasses physical, psychological, intellectual and socio-emotional impairments, right? Now the third word is coming in the picture. हमने impairment समझा, which is because of any kind of the organ related the structural dysfunction or something. Then we understand disability, which comes because of the impairment. Now the word handicap. Handicap is just as a disadvantage for a given individual that limit or prevent the fulfillment of a role that is normal. The environment that we are providing, in that environment, if there is something which is a hurdle for them, so that hurdle is making them a handicap. जैसे कि if a person is having any locomotor disability, so person can't be able to climb the stairs, right? So that stairs which you have not designed according to their need can be a disadvantage for them. And because of that, they are not able to fulfill any kind of the, demand or the need. And that too as compared to the normal. So that situation known as a handicap for them. Then gradually we understand the concept of the handicap and we create an environment for them where we can provide them a wheelchair and the different kind of the tools that is making them more able to perform the same activity in an easier way. So handicap is basically an environment which is already available in our environment, and that too because we are always focused over the normal individual. We never create any environment earlier as for the those who are having a disability. Nowadays, we are making ramps in the schools and college, in the public areas, and we are providing different types of the environment to them so that they can move with their impairment or the disability very easily, right? Like say, let's say a person is having hearing impairment, so there we are providing them hearing aids. Similarly, if a person is having the visual impairment, so there we can provide not the fully visual impairment, let's say a partial visual impairment or the the mild or moderate visual impairment they have. So there we can provide them some kind of any kind of the technical tools so that they can be able to see some kind of the visuals or some kind of the images. So this is how the differences between these three words we have to understand, because it helps us to implement the inclusion process in an easier way. Okay, so more than 1 billion people globally, they are living with some sort of disability. This is a research data where the researchers comes with the figure, and they said that more than 1 billion individuals are suffering from some kind of the disabilities, maybe the severe or the profound kind of a disability, or mental retardation, learning disability, or the any kind of the physical disability. So collectively, people with disability, they cross every age. There is no barrier when it comes to the disability, from a infant to the old age, the person who is near to that, all of they are having some kind of the disability when it comes to those 1 billion people, right? Ethnicity, which means the different types of the ethnic areas, peoples, then the gender identity, race, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status. The disability cross all these areas in every age, in every ethnicity, in all kind of the genders like male, female, third genders, then races, then sexual orientations that we are having, and socioeconomic status. Everywhere these kind of disabilities they have observed, right? So, all right. So despite our best intentions, most of us don't know how to be inclusive of the diverse group. We want to be inclusive, we want to be helpful for them, we want to always provide them some support, but हमें नहीं पता हम कैसे करें, right? So people with disability, when it comes to particularly to the people with disability, they often feel left out of the discussions around inclusion because they face various forms of the social, cultural, even legal discrimination. So जब हम सोचते हैं कि let's try to create an environment where we can provide them some kind of the inclusion, but before understanding that what are their problems, what are the discrimination they are facing, we can't move toward the inclusion, right? So not only the inclusion in the field of the social, culture, and the legal discrimination, even in the workplace. This means that they sometimes may not be treated inclusively when it comes to any kind of a work or the task or any kind of a project, or not giving a appropriate accommodation, because the person with disability always required a specific accommodation according to their limitations, right? So we have to understand first what are the barriers to inclusion of the person with disability. So people with disability, they face a wide variety of the obstacle when it comes to the inclusion. बहुत सारे hurdles है, and we have to help them with understanding of these hurdles. So the biggest hurdle they have, that is social stigma. what view me and any other normal individual is carrying. Right now, we all are able to understand the person with disability and their psychological problems and their, the day-to-day hurdle, because we study, we work with them. But the normal individual, they're not able to understand. They can create a sympathetic environment for them, but they are not able to provide the empathy to them. So the social stigma we have to remove. So individual with a disability, they often reduces to their disability rather than being treated as a valuable and the contributing member of the society. This is what we observe, that when it comes to the disability, अगर हमने भी किसी को suddenly अपने सामने देखा, the person who is disabled, so first we are considering them as a disabled instead of that he or she is also a part of the same community and the society, and they can be valuable or the contributing. So let's say अगर आपके यहाँ पर I can see most of the participants, they are here from the West Bengal. So there is a festival coming toward in the coming days. You all are celebrating Durga Puja and Navratra seasons, right? So if you are creating a pandal or any other kind of the activities you are doing there, if a person with disability wants to contribute, so you will always provide them something which is easiest, because we have a stigma in our mind that they are less contributing and less valuable. Instead of observing that might be the person is able to do the same kind of activity what we can do. So this kind of the the interaction or the attitude of the normal individual can damage the the confidence of the person and can feel them more less contributing toward the society and less useful. So these damaging stigmas devalue those with the disability by dismissing them as being less than the people with the disability. So these people are always having this kind of the devaluation because of the normal individual is making them to face it. Instead of that, we have to move toward to understanding them with our interaction and with our valuable inputs, that they are better than normal, not that the less than normal. The another barrier is the provider misconception. Who is the provider? You, me, or all the mental health field related professionals, all the special education field related professionals, all those who are actually giving them a label while processing their disability. So all the people, all the professionals who are working in the field of the disability, let's say a psychiatric, psychologist, educationalist, or the special educator, maybe the nurses, those who are working with them, family members, caretakers. So they all are providers, right? Because they are providing them information, they are providing them different kind of the resources. So some mental health providers, they feel that the people with disability, they must be fixed in order to fully participate in their community. What we are doing, we are always trying to make them normal. We have to understand they have a different ability. So they don't require to be a normal. So as a result, see, we have to understand that disability is perceived as a defect because of this attitude, rather than a small aspects of a person that simply make them different. We have to understand वो हमसे अलग है, but वो कोई तरह की difficulty या defects में नहीं है. So we have to pay the attention on our own behavior while interacting with person with disability. In many cases, the mental health providers, they actually view mental illnesses as a direct result of having a disability instead of an independent challenge. हमें ये समझना होगा ये उनका एक independent challenge है, because they are less able as compared to us. So they are different from us. अगर वो हमसे अलग है तो उनके लिए challenges भी हमसे अलग होने चाहिए. And that is what we are creating. But because we are talking about the inclusion, so we also prefer कि हम बहुत unique चीजें ना करें उनके लिए, because that also give them an understanding of the devalue. So we have to raise the things according to their limitations. Mental health conditions are lumped together with other disability symptoms causing mental illness. So we have to provide them the environment according to their limitations. Okay. Then, yeah. So the another barrier is labeling. Lack of accountability of a teacher is a barrier for successful inclusion, because the inclusion or the how we can include a person in society start with the school education itself. अगर आप किसी डिसेबल इंडिविजुअल को सोसाइटी में इंक्लूड करना चाहते हैं, उसे उसकी स्पेशल एबिलिटी के साथ एक्सेप्ट करना चाहते हैं, दैट स्टार्ट विद द स्कूल इटसेल्फ. हमें शुरू से ये चीजें करनी होती है. सो द टीचर हु इज एक्चुअली क्रिएटिंग अ बैरियर फॉर द इंक्लूजन बिकॉज ऑफ द लैक ऑफ अकाउंटेबिलिटी. हम अपने आप को उतना रिस्पॉन्सिबल ही नहीं समझते कि वी आर नॉट अकाउंटेबल फॉर द any kind of a behavior. So to make the process of the inclusion a successful one, the role of the teacher is very important, because negative attitude result in the negative impact. If you are providing a negative attitude to them, so it will obviously give a negative impact to them. So the teacher, they must be exposed to the orientation program, that is seminars to be made aware. हमें टीचर्स के लिए डिफरेंट टाइप्स के सेमिनार्स एंड ओरिएंटेशन प्रोग्राम्स प्लान करने होते हैं, लाइक द CRE, where many of you are special educator and we are providing you the advanced information that how you can help them, right? So these kind of the programs needs to be there so that you can update yourself time to time. And in most cases teachers label students, but labeling is not only the harmful in the inclusion but also in personality development it is very harmful. आप सिर्फ उसको लेबल नहीं कर रहे हो, आप उसकी पर्सनालिटी को भी बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लमेटिक सिचुएशन में डाल रहे हो, बिकॉज लेबलिंग कैन डू एनी काइंड ऑफ द degradation in the development. So the feeling of the inferiority in the child with the special need be a negative result. So in these cases, special educator can pay more focus so that the labeling can be excluded from the culture and from our society. Then the poverty and the unemployment. So many individuals with a disability, they have difficulty securing the full-time jobs and often face over-employment discrimination. क्योंकि उन्हें फुल टाइम जॉब नहीं मिलता बिकॉज ऑफ द डिसेबिलिटी, एंड इफ मिलता भी है तो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इज देयर. एज वी ऑल नो दैट गवर्नमेंट हैव डिसाइडेड सम रिजर्वेशंस फॉर द पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी, so there they are getting full time employment. But again, the discrimination when it comes to the different types of the work and the task, the discrimination is there. So and those who do not who do work are often stuck with the temporary work or the part-time jobs which don't usually include the healthcare benefit. क्योंकि हम temporary jobs दे रहे हैं या part-time job दे रहे हैं, they are not getting healthcare benefits, right? And at the same time, government जो उन्हें policies दे रही है, जो benefits दे रही है, that is not enough to cover the expenses. अगर वो बहुत सारा एक्सपेंस कर रहे हैं टुवर्ड देयर मेडिकल एक्सपेंसेस, उनकी हेल्थ को लेके जो सप्लीमेंट्स हैं उसके लिए दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग द एक्सपेंसेस टू गेट द बेनिफिट्स. सो जो गवर्नमेंट से उन्हें सब्सिडीज मिलती है, गवर्नमेंट से उन्हें जो बेनिफिट्स मिलते हैं, दैट इज वेरी लेस एज कंपेयर टू व्हाट दे रिक्वायर. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो अ बैरियर फॉर दैम. देन प्रोहिबिटिव कॉस्ट. Again, the medical expenses is including in this, because mental health services for the developmental disabilities and the physical limitation, they include medical expenses, right? And that can be high and they aren't always covered by the government benefit. So many people end up paying for the medical expenses out of their pocket. उन्हें खुद से देना होता है. And they typically prioritize their physical health over their mental well-being. वो क्या करते हैं, इसके चक्कर में पहले अपने physical health को prioritize करते हैं, and person with disabilities always face some kind of the mental illness related issues or mental well-being related issues, because disabilities occur the less understanding of the value of the individual in the society, and that is how the well-being impacted. So prohibition cost, it may cause housing insecurity and the homelessness, both of which can contribute to the poor mental health. इसकी वजह से poor mental health हो जाती है. Am I audible? Because I can see the messages here that no sound.
हाँ मैडम ऑडिबल मैम.
All right, so can I go forward? Okay, great. So let's move. Okay, now till here we have understand the broader perspective of the barrier कि क्या क्या बड़े बड़े barriers हैं जब हम बात करते हैं inclusion की. अब हम बात करते हैं inclusion जो है वो कहाँ से आया हमारे इस पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी के पर्सपेक्टिव में हमने कब सोचा कि इंक्लूजन जरूरी है और ये कैसे शुरू हुआ? बिकॉज आई सेड इंक्लूजन स्टार्ट विद द स्कूल सेटअप्स ओनली, हम वहीं से शुरू करते हैं सो दैट वी कैन मेक चेंज आवर होल सोसाइटी एंड कम्युनिटी टुवर्ड द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी। हम चाहते हैं कि अगर हमारी सोसाइटी, हमारी कम्युनिटी इस चीज को समझे, पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी को वैसे ही इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी दे जैसा कि हम हमें देते हैं, हम किसी भी नॉर्मल इंडिविजुअल को देते हैं। सो वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि बहुत सालों पहले ये कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत तेजी से नहीं था। अर्लियर व्हाट वी वर हैविंग अ स्पेशल स्कूल कॉन्सेप्ट, राइट, जहां हम नॉर्मल इंडिविजुअल को स्पेशल इंडिविजुअल से अलग कर देते थे। नॉर्मल बच्चे एक अलग स्कूल में पढ़ते थे, स्पेशल स्कूल बच्चे जो है वो एक अलग स्कूल में पढ़ते थे, एंड दैट टू नॉट फॉर ऑल द पर्सन हु इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम द डिसेबिलिटी। हम सबको वो राइट नहीं दे पाते थे क्योंकि देयर आर लिमिटेशन व्हेन इट कम्स टू द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ द स्पेशल एजुकेशन इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द इंडिया। हम सिर्फ इंडियन कल्चर की बात करें तो हमारे पास बहुत लिमिटेड स्पेशल स्कूल्स हैं। अभी पिछले 5, 7, 10 सालों में वी हैव क्रॉस सच गुड नंबर, एंड हम धीरे धीरे इस फील्ड में बहुत अच्छा करते जा रहे हैं। वी आर एक्चुअली moving toward the inclusion of the person with disability in our community, but it will take again 10 to 12 days for making it more than the 50%, right? Sorry. So somehow right now also we are at the lesser side. So all of we are aware that in 2009 there was a Right to Education Act. Right to Education Act आया था, 2009 में ये implement हुआ था, and it became a compulsory for the free education for all the individuals, especially the children's, right? So the right to education जो है, जो RTE Act है, it represents that every child has a right to full time elementary education of the satisfactory and equitable quality in a formal school. ये उनका हक है, this is the right of the all the children कि वो elementary education ले पाए, वो भी ऐसी elementary education which is providing them a satisfactory and a quality education. इस एक एक्ट ने इंक्लूजन को बहुत ज्यादा लाइमलाइट में लाया, because when it comes for the every child, we are not discriminating the person with disability. We are saying the child with disability also have a right of free and satisfactory and quality education. So it make a provision for a non-admitted child to be admitted to an age-appropriate class. जब RT आया, उसके साथ बहुत सारे नॉर्म्स आए, एंड इन नॉर्म्स में लिखा था कि जो भी लोग स्कूल्स नहीं जा रहे हैं उन्हें उनकी एज अप्रोप्रिएट क्लासेस में आप लेना शुरू करें. So that at the same time, NCERT, okay, National Council for the Education Research and Training, they have worked for one project, which is the project Integrated Education for the Disabled Child. हम कैसे integrated education का concept लाए? So it was done with the collaboration of the UNICEF के साथ उन्होंने ये किया था, that too in the 1987. See the difference, हम 1987 में बात कर रहे थे integrated education की. 2009 में हम एक्ट लेकर आए हैं राइट टू एजुकेशन. 2002 में हम बात कर रहे थे सर्व शिक्षा अभियान की, और अब कहीं जाकर के हमें कुछ परसेंटेज ऑफ द पर्सन विद डिसेबिलिटी के लिए हमने जो है वो इंक्लूसिव स्कूल्स स्टार्ट किए हुए हैं. So it make provision for a non-admitted child to admitted in the age-appropriate classes. NCERT, in collaboration with the UNICEF, has launched Project Integrated Education for the Disabled Children in the year 1987 to strengthen the integration of the learner with disability into a regular school. जब हमने इंटीग्रेटेड स्कूल की बात करना शुरू करी, एक प्रोजेक्ट चलाया गया एनसीईआरटी की तरफ से, और उन्होंने ये देखा कि हम कैसे इस चीज को स्ट्रेंथन कर सकते हैं, हम कैसे इसे मजबूत बना सकते हैं, कि हम चाहते हैं कि डिसेबल इंडिविजुअल इज ऑल्सो सिटिंग इन द नॉर्मल स्कूल्स, इन द रेगुलर स्कूल्स विद द नॉर्मल चिल्ड्रन, राइट. फिर सर्व शिक्षा अभियान की जब बात हुई 2002 में, इट ऑल्सो स्पीक अबाउट द फ्री एंड कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन. किसके लिए? बच्चे जो कि 6 से 14 साल की एज ग्रुप में थे. सो 6 to 14 year एज ग्रुप चाइल्ड, दे हैव सेड दैट फ्री एंड कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन. So including children with disability, that is not only for the normal individual. So this सर्व शिक्षा अभियान adopted a zero rejection policy. हमने किसी को भी रिजेक्ट नहीं किया. We try to include all the individuals, person with a normal ability, person with a special ability. And I guess instead of me, more of you who is working in the special education with the different kind of the state government schools and the projects, they are more aware about the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, that what are the different policies made under the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, right? So now, inclusive education, it refers the placement and the education of the children with disability in regular educational classrooms with the children of the same age who do not have disability. So the main concept is how we can make them combine. हम normal individual और special individuals को कैसे एक जगह पे ला सकते हैं, एक साथ पढ़ा सकते हैं, एक साथ बिठा सकते हैं. So in this case, it involves regular schools and the classrooms genuinely adapting and changing to meet the need of all children as well as celebrating and valuing differences. हमारा मेन पर्पस क्या था? इन बच्चों को एक साथ बिठाना, क्लासरूम्स को उनके लिए एडप्ट करना और उनकी नीड के हिसाब से चीजों को चेंज करना. Apart from this, हम चाहते थे कि normal child and special child, they started celebrating whatever they have right now. So inclusive education also give them a understanding to celebrate their limitation and their capacities, right? And valuing each other differences. नॉर्मल इंडिविजुअल को स्पेशल इंडिविजुअल की डिफरेंसेस को वैल्यू करना चाहिए एंड स्पेशल इंडिविजुअल को नॉर्मल इंडिविजुअल की डिफरेंसेस को वैल्यू करना चाहिए. सो इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन इज द मोस्ट इफेक्टिव वे टू गिव all children a fair chance to go to school, learn and develop the skills they need to thrive, right? So here we are trying to give the equal and fair chance to all the children. Okay. Now, what are the need of the inclusion? Till now, we try to understand the inclusion related concepts. Now we are moving to understand the concept of inclusion. So, we have to understand the need. क्या needs थी हमारी when we discussed about the inclusion? So it removed the boundaries and obstacle. अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं inclusion की, if we are doing this inclusion in all the schools, we are actually removing all the boundaries. The purpose of the universalization of education become possible. जो हम बात करते हैं सबके लिए समान शिक्षा, we can do that. Then inclusive education has the potential to create the nicely built nation. It also help to building your nation. हम हमारे राष्ट्र के लिए काम कर सकते हैं if we are more focusing toward the inclusive education. All children can assimilate themselves in their community and develop a sense of belongingness. चाहे normal child हो, चाहे special child हो, they will definitely develop a belongingness sense when it comes to the inclusive education and give student opportunity of the vocational services to all the children with the disability. हम उन्हें vocations की भी training देंगे that will help them to work in the community too. Then it helps teachers to recognize their students' strengths and weaknesses. As a result, they prepare instructional program accordingly. अगर आपको लगता है as a teacher you can provide some kind of the particular program as per the need of your student, you can create that with the help of the inclusion education. Students learn their responsibilities of the caring for one another. Not only they are started valuing each other or they learn the differences of each other, they started caring for each other. It motivates them toward the self-discovery. And when you are learning to care for someone else, you are actually developing a lot of kind of the good and the the positive characteristics in yourself. Along with that, your personality strengthen. You are doing with the help of these responsibilities toward the another person. So the aim is to be enable child to lead a happy life. Our total aim is to be make a person happy in their current situation, maybe a special ability or the normal ability. So a healthy environment is created in his surrounding with the help of the special education. Then the another need is it maintains social balance by providing equal opportunity to all. हम society को balance कर रहे हैं क्योंकि we are providing equal opportunity to everyone. It removes all kind of the prejudice and discrimination. Because we are providing equal opportunity, we are not providing any kind of the discrimination or the prejudgment. When it comes to the word prejudice, we are actually providing prejudgment. Recently, let me share one experience here. Recently, I was watching on a news. मैं news देख रही थी और there was a news कि किसी एक city में लोगों ने आम जनता ने एक डिसेबल इंडिविजुअल को पीटा बिकॉज वहां से कोई एक बच्चा गायब हो गया था. So without thinking about that this can be done by someone else because of the prejudice they have, कि एक प्री जजमेंट उन्होंने बना रखा है about the disability, so the disability create the prejudice and because of that they actually done that act. So we have to understand that if we are providing inclusive society, that inclusive society can help them to remove the prejudice and discrimination. Then it is providing them new manner, method and parameters to education for all. So we are helping them to provide the education for all. Then it promotes self reliance and enable children to acquire coping skills. So we are helping them to provide the coping skills, critical thinking, decision making power and problem solving skills is also developed. Sorry. Okay, now what are the challenges we are facing while we are providing this inclusive education or while we are thinking about the inclusion? So the first barrier, see, we have looked toward what are the barriers is already there in the environment and how we can change it. But we have to understand while we are providing this inclusion, the another perspective from the side of the person with disability, that what kind of the challenges from there and we are having, right? So understanding the challenges and the frustration of the person or the people who is living with the disability, you have to first understand their perspective, that what kind of the perspective they have toward their disability. Then ensuring the active participation of the people with disability and implementation. When you are doing this inclusion of the normal individual and the special individual, you have to ensure that what kind of the participation you are providing them and how you are implementing all these activities. Then advocating for the participation in the decision making. When you are asking them to participate, you also need to give them a chance to take a decision and to create a decision according to their limitations. And then fourth challenge that is comes at building capacity among family and the community if needed. So if you are able to do the first three, then you can move toward the fourth one where you have to understand what are the challenges faced by the family and the community when it comes to the inclusion of the person with disability. Okay, these are the main goals. While you are providing any kind of the inclusion, we have to focus on these four goals. So one is the getting, making, modifying and eliminating. So when it comes to getting, we means that getting fair treatment from the others. The main goal for the inclusion is to provide a fair treatment to all the individual who is having any kind of a disability. Then making means making products, communication and the physical environment more usable by as many people as possible. So we have to create a physical environment for all of them where they can move, they can learn, they can act very easily according to their requirement. So you have to design something according to their requirement. Then modifying different item procedure that you are using while you are providing the teaching or any other activity to them, system to enable a person with a disability to use them the maximum extent possible. Basically the reasonable accommodation that we can provide them, so we have to modify the things according to that. Let's say if you are having any particular the fare for any particular item, when it comes to the person with disability, you have to modify the item first and then the fare or the rates for the same thing, right? Then eliminating, that is the belief that people with disability are unhealthy and less capable of the doing things. That stigma and the stereotype we have to eliminate. So these four goals of the inclusions we are having: getting, making, modifying and the eliminating. Okay. Now how we are doing this inclusion? Okay, so to do the inclusion, we are moving toward the one approach that is nowadays very common, and we are calling it as in community-based psychiatric rehabilitation, which is basically CBR, right? And along with this CBR is basically a process that we are doing with the help of one of the psychological strategy, which is known as in psychosocial rehabilitation or the psychiatric rehabilitation. So our major perspective behind providing this CBR is how we can make them able to live with their limitation into the community. So it's an integrated model where the consolidated effort of the multiple professionals like the pharmacologist, intervention, patients, key caretakers, basically the who is looking for the patient, and then sensitization of the community members on the mental illness as well as the disability. So this is an integral approach where the n number of the professionals work together and they are providing this community-based psychiatric rehabilitation to the person with disability. So for the PWD, it is also many of you are most aware about the PWD Act, right? There was a PWD Act where earlier the situation and the things were mentioned according to the special schools and their special needs. Now we are talking about the inclusion of the person in the inclusive schools. So the things according to the PWD we have to change, and this PSR help us psychosocial rehabilitation. We also call it as a psychiatric rehabilitation. It help us to make them able to work in the community according to their limitation. So the silent feature of this approach is that it provides the rapid recovery. Whatever we are providing earlier, the approaches we are using, or the specialist school or the integration we were providing. Apart from that, if we are using psychiatric social rehabilitation, that help us to recover the rapid recovery to them and reintegration of the person with disability with their family and community. So it is also providing the reintegration. Okay. Then there's a recommendation which is providing by the WHO, World Health Organization, that recommended that community-based psychiatric rehabilitation, it improve quality of life and ensure inclusion and participation of the person with disability. So however, the limited number of the psychosocial rehabilitation centers exiting in the India, we are having very limited centers right now in the India, right? So with that, how we can assure this community-based psychiatric rehabilitation for them? So despite the limitations, we have to focus about the how we can provide them the higher help in terms of the rehabilitation. So this activity, this psychosocial rehabilitation activity, it primarily comprises of the routine activities, outreach activities, and livelihood activity. Okay, now we are moving toward the end of the session where I have to inform you about the few things that most of you are doing and we usually observe while our training in the field of the rehabilitation or in the field of the special education also, that when it comes to the community-based psychiatric rehabilitation or community-based psychosocial rehabilitation, how we are providing this help to the person with disability. हम क्या करते हैं, as in part of that community, as a service provider for the person with disability, we are deciding along with their understanding, their limitation and their permissions, we are deciding some programs for them. So let's say if you have to design a program for the person with disability, you can divide this into 3 parts. One is routine activity, another one is outreach activity, and the third one is livelihood activity. So how we are doing this inclusion? We are doing this inclusion initially at the started point. We are doing it with the school education, the integrated schools education. So what are the things we have to do there in the routine activity? These are the things we are providing them. The first one is the daily routine included prayer, yoga, along with the laughter therapy. These are the few activities what I have mentioned here. Apart from that, there are many other activities that we can use. So when it comes to the daily routine, we have to teach them all these activities, the prayer, yoga, along with the laughter therapy, light physical exercises that they can do, then group discussions, right? Several types of the group discussions they can do. We can provide them the activities where they can discuss with the normal individual in the group discussion, like because we are saying कि वो inclusive education है, एक ही school में normal individuals के साथ बैठते हैं, special child, so they can do some group discussions also. Recreational activities where we can ask them to recreate something or to use the technique to develop something new according to their limitations. Training them for the daily living skills from the morning wake up to the dress up themselves, then toilet training, and then their eating habits, and other kind of the daily living skills, we can teach them all of it in the routine activity. Social skills, how to communicate with others, how to interact, how to listen someone else, how to do such kind of the social skill related activities. ग्रुप में कैसे खुद को फर्स्टली प्रेजेंट करना है, इफ समवन एल्स इज नॉट डिस्कसिंग, हाउ यू कैन स्टार्ट द कन्वर्सेशन, ऑल दीज सोशल स्किल्स वी कैन टीच देम. When it comes to life skills, to integrated them with the family and the community, we can provide all these routine activity related trainings in the inclusion. Then outreach activity. In addition to these routine activity, it is not only done if you are providing the routine activity training. आपको outreach activities भी सिखानी होगी. वो कैसे करेंगे? Centers regularly organizing training for the staff, mental health awareness camp in the community to educate people about the mental health, diagnose and treat mentally ill patient and issues, disability certificate to person with mental illness to access various social protection and other government scheme. See, अगर हमें outreach activities करनी है, हमें पहले तो डिफरेंट टाइप्स के कैंप्स ऑर्गेनाइज करने होंगे. सो ट्रेनिंग ऑर्गेनाइज करनी होगी, जैसे कि राइट नाउ यू आर टेकिंग द CRE प्रोग्राम, दैट इज अनदर टाइप ऑफ अ ट्रेनिंग दैट वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ द आउटरीच एक्टिविटी. अगर कुछ नया कॉन्सेप्ट जो है वो बनता है या नए नॉर्म्स बनते हैं, सो विद द हेल्प ऑफ द CRE प्रोग्राम्स वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग दैट. Then mental health awareness camp for the family members and the community. So the one outreach activity that we are usually doing, that is psycho education. Yeah. Hello, anyone is there? You want to say something? Okay, I will make sure. I'm just completing in the last 2 slides here and we are completing. Okay, so the different types of the awareness camps that we are providing, the community education. So with this kind of a different types of the outreach activities, we can not only making them able to day-to-day activity, but we also providing them help to the do activity in the community. And the livelihood activity, where we are providing them something like vocational training and different types of the handmade products they can learn. And at the daycare centers, the center provide a pickup and drop facility so that they can reach and they can easily learn to the all the livelihood activity where they can earn something with this vocational training. Now, these are the benefits, and with this benefit, we are completing the sessions also. So children can be part of their community and develop a sense of the belongingness and become better prepared for the life in the community as well, children and adult. It provides better opportunity for the learning. Children with varying ability are often better motivated when they learn the class surrounded by the other children. Then expectations of all the children are higher. Successful inclusion attempt to develop an individual strength. हम basically उनको strength बनाने के लिए और उनको community में re-establish करने के लिए inclusion करते हैं. तो these are the benefits. It allows children to work on individual goal while being with the other students of their age. हम उन्हें encourage करते हैं to involve in the parents in the education of their children. It fosters a culture of respect. एक दूसरे के लिए respect बनती है normal individual and special individual के बीच में. It also provides the opportunity to learn about the individual differences. It provides all children with the opportunity to develop friendship with one another. And all children attend age-appropriate regular classrooms in their local school and receive appropriate education programs relevant to their needs. All children participate in the co-curriculum and extracurricular activities and benefits from the cooperation, collaboration among home and schools and community. So I hope with this you all will be able to understand about how the inclusion play an important role when it comes to the person with disability. So here I'm ending my session. If there is any question, so I'm ready to take that question and then we can stop the session. So thank you everyone for your patience listening. So do we have any question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, participant. Do you have any? So, hello, participant. Do you have any question to ask Dr. Hinakshi Bharati Bansali? किसी को कोई पूछना है तो question please ask, ma'am.
Yeah.
স্যার আমি সবাইকে স্যার আমি সবাইকে অলমোট করে দিচ্ছি স্যার, মুট করে দিচ্ছি স্যার।
হ্যাঁ 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 আনমিউট করে দেন, এজন্যই বুঝতে পারছে না।
স্যার আপনার স্পিকারটা অন করেন স্যার।
Off হয়ে গেছে। হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে।
Ma'am, can you please share the PPT here?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please
Sure,
share?
sure. I will share the PPT with
Thank you.
the organizer, and they can
Thank you,
further
ma'am.
share with.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Hello. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
And I would also like to say thank you to the organizer to provide this opportunity. So here we are ending this session.
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. So we are,
মনে কোথাও জাম্প হয়ে গেছে কালকে মিস্ত্রি বলে গেল যে ওটা যেখানে যেখানে মুখগুলো করা আছে খুলে পরিষ্কার করে দিলে
hello
ওটা ঠিক
everyone. So we will have our lunch break.
করে নি
We will have our lunch break for an hour. We will
এই
start
এইটা
again.
আমাদের বাড়ি পর্যন্ত ওরা কোনো কিছু করবে না।
এই সবাইকে বন্ধ করে দিন তো,
ওরা
কথা
কোনো খরচা
শুনছে না
দেবে না।
কেউই।
আমাদের বাড়ির পর থেকে আমার কোনো কিছু হলে তখন দেখবে
প্লিজ অনমিউট করে দেন সবাইকে।
স্যার আপনার স্পিকারটা অন করেন স্যার।
Hello everyone. So honored participants, resource person, and we'll have our lunch break for an hour. We'll start at 2 o'clock sharp Indian timing. So have a nice day. Thank you. Please come on time. Attend. We'll start again 2 o'clock Indian time. Thanks. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Okay, bye.